is back, and we got a very exciting update. It's not solid yet, but this is the first time I think anybody's seen the ball move in the last 2 years as it relates to critical race theory, social emotional learning, diversity, equity, inclusion, and whatever. So if you have Kool-Aid colored hair, this video may not be for you. So let's go through it, because I realize everybody is not thrilled with reading bills, neither am I, but this one is actually kind of exciting. It hasn't passed, it has been proposed or offered, and I think it is worth sharing with everybody in the state of Virginia, putting pressure on every single person that voted to fight against critical race theory. Put the pressure on them, hold them accountable. I don't care who they are. They work for you. You don't work for them. If any of the information in here in this bill, proposed bill, is important to you, you need to put the full court press on your delegates, your state senators, Youngkin, everybody. Okay, so let's go through this a little bit. So this is House Bill number 781. All right, excuse me. Number one, the code that Virginia has amended by adding a section numbered 22.1-20803 is as follows. Student citizenship skills, certain instructional policies prohibited, parental rights, disclosures, penalties, other remedies. Section A. As used in this section, divisive concept means the concept that one race, religion, ethnicity, or sex is inherently superior to another race, religion, sex, or ethnicity. An individual, by virtue of the individual's race, religion, ethnicity, or sex, is inherently racist, sexist, or oppressive, whether consciously or unconsciously. That's a key word, because unconscious bias is a very popular phrase with these wackadoos. An individual should be discriminated against or receive adverse treatment solely or partly because of the individual's race, religion, ethnicity, or sex. Members of one race, religion, ethnicity, or sex cannot and should not attempt to treat others without respect to race, religion, ethnicity, or sex. An individual's moral character is necessarily determined by the individual's race, religion, sex, or ethnicity. An individual, by virtue of the individual's race, religion, ethnicity, or sex, bears responsibility for actions committed in the past by other members of the same race, religion, ethnicity, or sex. An individual should feel discomfort, anguish, or any other form of psychological distress on account of the individual's race, religion, ethnicity, or sex. Meritocracy, punctuality, proper language usage, free markets, and traits such as strong word ethic are racist or sexist or were created by members of a particular race to oppress members of another race. The ideology of equity of outcomes is superior to the ideology of equality, a concept enshrined in the U.S. Constitution of the United States of opportunities. Mathematics and scientific empiricism, okay, SP on my part, are products of Western civilization and thus are rooted in racism. The Commonwealth or the United States is fundamentally or systemically, racist or sexist. Capitalism, free markets, free industry, other related economic systems are inherently racist. So this section A is actually worded very well, very strong, to help uproot all of much of the evilness that has been manifesting its way into our school systems and creating an oppressor and oppressed environment for our kids. You know, white kids are the oppressors and black kids or minorities. Anybody that's not white is oppressed by the white. So this is going to do away with that if it shall pass. Section B, right here, the board shall, in furtherance of the citizen skills portion of the 5 C's in the profile of a Virginia graduate, pause. The 5 C's are related to CASEL, and it basically amounts to your student needs to be a social justice warrior in the 5 C's of CASEL, which is the next phase of SEL, social emotional learning, that is geared towards K-8. So when you get into high school, then there's a focus on CASEL, and that is to turn your child into a social justice warrior before they can graduate. They have to be proficient in those skills in order to graduate. So what the powers that be have done is the board shall, in furtherance of the citizen skills portion of 5Cs in a profile of Virginia graduate, incorporate into each relevant standard of learning and associated curriculum framework a requirement that each student demonstrate an understanding. Imagine this: the fundamental moral, political, and intellectual foundations of American experiment in government, self-government, as well as the history, qualities, traditions, and features of civic engagement in the United States. Number two, the structure, function, and process government institutions at the federal, state, and local levels. And number three, imagine this: the founding documents of the United States, including the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Federalist Papers, including essays 10 and 51, excerpts from Alexis Tocqueville's Democracy in America, the first debate between Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass, and the writings of our founding fathers. That's a way to flip the 5Cs. These people are going to go apoplectic. Section C: no public school teacher or other instructional staff member shall be required to discuss any current event or widely debated and currently controversial issue of public policy or social affairs. Any such employee who chooses to discuss any such event or issue in the scope of his instructional duties — oh my God, these people lose it, they use his instead of his, hers — instructional duties shall, to the best of his ability, or hers, oh my God, strive to explore such issues from diverse and contending perspectives without giving difference to any one perspective. D, neither the board or department nor any local school board shall teach, instruct, or train any school board member, contractor, or consultant, any public elementary or secondary school student, or any other individual or group to support, believe, endorse, embrace, confess, act upon, or otherwise assent to a divisive concept, penalize, or discriminate against any such individual or group for refusing to support, believe, endorse, embrace, confess, act upon, or otherwise assent to a divisive concept, except any funding from any source for the development, purchase, or choice of curriculum material that include divisive concepts pertaining to social emotional learning, second step, or otherwise violate any provision of this section, or the training or professional development of teachers that includes divisive concepts, pertains to social emotional learning, or otherwise violates any provision of this section. Looks like maybe a goodbye to Learning for Justice, Southern Poverty Law Center. Next section, E, no school board employee thereof shall require incorporate into any course or class, or award course or class grades or credit, including extra credit for student work for affiliation with or services learning in association with any organization engaged in lobbying for legislation at the local, state, or federal level, or engaged in social or public policy advocacy, political activism, lobbying, or efforts to persuade members of the legislative or executive branch to the local, state, or federal level to take specific actions by direct communications, or participation in any practicum or like activity involving social or public policy advocacy. Nothing in this subdivision shall be construed or prohibited or prevent any student from learning the process of government by firsthand observation. Teach or incorporate into any course or class any divisive concepts. Be required to engage in training, orientation, or therapy that presents any form of race or sex stereotype or blaming on the basis of sex or race, or create a position or hire a consultant — I love this part — with the job title of equity director or diversity director, or a substantially similar title, and with a job description that includes any activity that would result in a violation of a provision of this section. The parent of each student — this is great — the parent of each student enrolled in public elementary school, public or secondary school, has the right to be aware of all curricula instruction materials, lessons, and other forms of instruction provided to his child, and may request that the student's teacher provide any such for review. Each teacher who receives a request shall provide the parent an electronic or paper copy of the requested item within 48 hours of the request. So in a nutshell, we can say goodbye to non-disclosure agreements. G, each public school shall annually, no later than July 1st, preceding the upcoming school year, prominently list on a publicly accessible portion of its website all instructional materials and activities to be used for student instruction at the school, organized by grade and subject area. For the purpose of this disclosure, instructional materials includes textbooks, reading materials, videos, digital materials, which would include Teachers Pay Teachers, websites, or other online applications. Activities includes assemblies, guest lectures, and other educational events facilitated by school board employees or outside individual organizations and activities. Does not include student presentations, and all training, documentation, and review and approval processes performed by the principal or any teacher or administrator in preparation for providing such instructional materials and activities to students. H, any individual, including any school board member, who knowingly and intentionally violates any provision of this section is guilty of a class 4 misdemeanor. I can think of a number of school board members here in Loudoun County that are guilty of class 4 misdemeanor if this passes. And in the case of school board employee, may be terminated or, as applicable, have his license revoked or suspended in accordance with all relevant policies, regulations, and laws. In the event that a school board finds that a school board employee has persistently, knowingly, and intentionally violated any provision of this act, the parent of any student affected by such violations may request, and the local school board shall provide, a voucher in amount equal to all sums from any source that the local school board received for the education of such student. And the parent shall issue a voucher to provide for the education of his child in any setting set forth in this subsection 22.1-254. So what you have here is a very strong first attempt coming out of the gate to get a bill passed that would put a big dent in a lot of these problems we've been uncovering and exposing for the last 18 months, 2 years. This is a very, very big step forward. This will be helped by this will help in so many ways, but it hasn't passed. What we need is for everybody, every parent across the state of Virginia, to watch this video. If you watch none of my other videos, I don't care, watch this. This is very important. Put the pressure on your legislators, put them on the state delegates and state senators. I don't care. They're family members, they're barbers, they're hairstylists, whatever you want to call it. We need to get this passed. It's paramount that this passed, and we got to put a lot of pressure. Now, the Republicans took the House. The Democrats remain in the lead on the Senate, but I think there are a few Democrats that may, see things our way, which would be the right way for all of our kids. So again, please share this video wide and far. If you're not a big fan of reading bills, and you don't mind some of my mumbling or fumbling around with some words, I think this is definitely worth watching. This is a very important step moving forward in our fight. And Governor Youngkin has made some very good picks. Amy Goodera is still a question mark, but she's going to get confirmed. But he also brought in Elizabeth Schultz from Fairfax County. She is a great person to have on our side. She will be the assistant superintendent of public instruction, it's a huge position. And the person she's rolling up to, her name is Jillian. I'll just go with Jillian because I forget her last name, but looking into her, she's got a very strong past coming from Wyoming in fighting all this nonsense. So this is really important that it passes, and it's really important that you spread this far and wide as far and wide as you can. I realize this video is a little bit longer than normal, but this is just so very important. Thank you, and please put the pressure on.